You are listening to the Gritty Podcast, where we talk about all things gritty.
Client can bring a lot of expertise and skill to a hunt.
I think it gives me a more satisfying adventure.
It's just more enjoyable experience when you're working together like that.
Which means you have a bear somewhere between 8.5 and 9 feet.
Wow, there's some big ones in here.
First I was like, come on. What? This place is crawling with bears. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Call, and today's episode is with my friend Eric Lee, who owns Alaska Adventure Services. On this podcast, we talk about the grizzly bear hunt. I sort of did it twice because I went in June, pretty late in the season, because I was busy hunting bears down south here with lampers, and we had some goals for the April, May. So as soon as May was over, I hit the mountains in Alaska in June, and I experienced a grizzly bear hunt there. Got a nice black bear, and almost got me a grizzly bear.
I was like, I wanted to put my hands on a grizz so bad.
Yeah, Brad was there on that hunt, but it didn't quite happen. So I went back on the hunt in August, and on that hunt, I actually got myself my first grizzly bear. This hunt is really interesting, and you cannot, in the lower 48, we can't even hunt grizzly.
Yep.
You can't do it in Canada anymore because they banned grizzly hunting, foolishly. So your only option right now is Alaska.
Yep.
And Alaskan grizzly bear hunts can be quite expensive, but inland grizzly bear hunts in Alaska are more affordable. And then Eric has a system where he's like, I really want the do-it-yourself experience.
Yeah. Yep.
I've done the fancy lodges, or, I've even been on Kodiak. Yeah. I'm kind of like done with that. I really wanted to have an experience where I feel like I'm in charge.
Right.
I'm kind of doing it, how I would do it normally.
If we didn't have to have a guide in Alaska for grizzly, we'd be going up there all the time.
Yeah.
But, that's required to have a guide. And Eric's service makes it feel like you're in charge. The guide's just there to legally let you hunt grizz.
And I wanted to hunt a mountain grizzly bear. Yeah. As I've been doing more and more mountain bear hunting at high altitude and in cool places, and that's kind of what I've evolved into.
Yeah. Don't
get me wrong. Someday I'd love to hunt grizzly bear or brown bear on Kodiak with a bow or something like that. But, for now, I really did want that high mountain experience, and so Eric hit me up, and you'll hear all about it on the podcast, and then kind of get into the details of what this hunt is like. I think you're going to enjoy it. I think if you're thinking about a grizzly bear hunt, I can't recommend it enough. Yeah. I can't recommend Alaska Adventure Services enough. So check him out, because they've got a few spots every year where they're going to do these grizzly bear hunts in cool places.
And as of right now, I don't think he's filled all of his August tags yet.
Yep. You can hit him up. You'll get his information on the podcast itself. Yep. But we talk about what we experience, in each part of the season. And I'm going to go back this April as well. And
I'm just a little bit
jealous. I'm going to go back in April when the snow is deep.
That was my first time in Alaska. And, there's moose, no other caribou, place on earth like it.
Grizzly, black bears. It's a really cool.
That's the other thing with Eric's service, too, is black bears. There's a lot of black bear opportunities.
You're kind of guaranteed a black bear, maybe more than one, and then also a grizzly bear. It's a very, very cool hunt, and if you're looking for this kind of adventure, go check out our film series. By the time this podcast drops, there's at least one or more episodes of the grizzly bear series up on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see what this podcast is all about in terms of the film and the adventure we had, go check out the film. That's going to give you the best idea. And then this is a little behind the scenes. Before we get into the podcast, I want to ask you to check out Peaks equipment for trekking poles. Everybody needs trekking poles nowadays. If you're a backpack hunter,
packing heavy loads, it takes so much off of your legs. And
Peaks is a hunting company and supports hunters. Go check out Peaks equipment. The poles are tough. We beat the hell out of our stuff. We take them into some rugged places. We've proven the poles. Mm-hmm. They are a legit product. They have a carbon fiber upper, aluminum lower. The Elite poles are my favorite that they sell. Use the code GRITTY. You're going to get 10% off. And I think they're less expensive than all the REI brands as it is.
Oh, for sure.
And they're better. So, and it's a hunting company. So support that if you can. And if you need gators, because they feature prominently in Alaska, whether it's June or August, or
it's wet.
It's just the way it is. And so use the code Gritty over there. Get yourself some Peaks gators. I think those Peaks gators are probably one of the most durable, comfortable, best fitting.
Yeah,
best gator, one of the best gators out on the market. I've used OR. I've used a bunch of the other
Canatrix. I've used a lot, and like I said, I mentioned this on other podcasts. I'm like a gator nerd.
Yep.
And they hold up so well.
Ryan and I have been beating the hell out of them for a couple of years.
Yep.
We can't seem to ruin a pair, and that tells me all I need to know. So use the code Gritty over at Peaks for a pair of gators, and they came out with a new headlamp that I helped come up with lampers. This is the Peaks Duo Headlamp. Yep. The reason that I recommend this lamp, it's not like your REI brand type lamps because they don't really fit the need of the hunter. We have a lot of night hikes that we do.
Has the red light.
It burns a long time at a bright light, which nothing comes close.
Yeah, on the low setting, that is with that light, which is still pretty dang bright. Like bright enough that I use the low setting all the time. 55 to 59 hours.
Yeah.
Out of that, I mean, you get like 6 to 8 hours if you're on the high setting.
This is actually the prototype, which I've been running the last year and a half. The newer version's even better than this that I'm showing here on the video.
Yep.
You'll see other lamps out there that kind of look like this and that mimic it, but they are not this.
No.
The amount of work that went into the guts on this,
like the
light bulbs,
button settings, everything.
The battery, it's all been the shell is kind of similar, but the real soul of this is all Peaks. So check that out. Use the code Gritty over there, and use the code Gritty at Dark Energy. Everybody needs a power bank. We use a lot of power to charge this. Our stereo pin we charge. Our InReach we charge. Our mobile phones we charge. We have our map system there. We've been using this Anchor solar panel quite a bit. This is the PowerPort Solar. I've mentioned it a couple times. We don't have a code with Anchor. It would be nice, but we don't. So there's no discount for you on this, but it is a product I think is awesome.
And it's at a good price point too.
It's pretty inexpensive, man. Yeah. It's like $70, $60.
That, yeah.
And this thing is 14 ounces. This combined with a dark energy power bank is pretty much what we've been getting away with. We haven't needed any additional power sources, or we used to carry 3 or 4 of those because a 10-day excursion or expedition just uses a lot of power. And now we pretty much have unlimited power between this and the dark energy. Yep. And the dark energy, you can get, you can use the code Gritty over there, and you're going to save money on that dark energy power bank. And I've been using that since like 2015. The thing is bomber. And I think it's probably, look, I've gone through lots of other chargers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm still using like 3 or 4 of my original dark energy chargers.
Yep. And the thing is, too, is on a hunt like this, in Alaska, there might be 6 days that you are socked in, whether it's rain or fog or something.
I know.
And you use your phone. Like, I always save videos, movies on my phone, podcasts, books.
This solar panel combined with that is a game changer because even on cloudy days and even through the wall of our teepees, we got a charge on this. It's incredible. And like I said, we kind of have unlimited power. We don't have to worry about electricity anymore. Yep. And it's a lightweight setup at the end of the day. If you want to be extra careful, you can grab 2 power banks. Yep. But man, this is peace of mind right here, this solar charger. And lastly, I want to bring up Initial Ascent backpacks. I used them on this grizzly bear hunt. I've used it throughout basically the whole spring and deep into the fall on all my hunts, and fell in love with that pack. We had people at the expo not believe me. They went and put those packs on. The pack board, the design of that frame is incredible. So some people have asked, are they going to upgrade the bags or making some changes? They are, but I wouldn't wait. I would just get one now. That 6,000 cubic inches is more like 7,000. It's really conservatively ranked. All my 10-day excursions, the backpack hunts, the Initial Ascent was plenty big enough, and I wouldn't let that stop me from going out and getting a bag Most people aren't getting something more than 6,000 cubic inches anyway, but for those that are, I wouldn't worry about it. You can do a 10-day excursion easily with the initial ascent pack. And then when they do come out with newer designs, bag designs, just buy the bag. You don't need to buy a whole new frame. You got your frame. Just buy the bag and swap it out. And use the code GRIDDY over there, and you're going to save big on your backpack purchase. And I can't say enough about it. It's a good pack. It's a great pack. It's my new favorite pack. So, all right, let's get into the podcast. Thank you for supporting the show. Stay gritty. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and today I am joined by my friend Eric Lee, who is the owner of Alaska Adventure Services. And Eric, I just got my first grizzly bear, which is kind of a little dream come true. And I did it with you, with your outfit up there in Alaska. And I wanted to get you on the podcast, talk about that hunt, all the things we learned from it, introduce people to you, because you have a great kind of philosophy and you have a great little thing going up there. We're going to talk about grizzly bears today, brown bears, black bears, spring hunting, what Alaska's like. I'm going to get into some details. Most people that are tuning into this podcast might have seen our recent film that we just dropped. That episode 1 is all about my first Alaskan black bear, and then it follows up as the series goes on with my first grizzly bear. So really cool hunt. So Eric Lee, welcome to the Gritty Podcast and to my audience. Let's get into this. Thank you. Alaska Adventure Services. Let's talk about how this unfolded, because bear hunting is kind of I'm just passionate about it. And grizzly bear hunting is something I always wanted to do, but it's kind of out of the price range. And so I've been thinking about it for a while, what I wanted to do. And one of the things that kind of bugs me about grizzly bear hunting is I pretty much can't go anywhere and do it without someone sort of babysitting me.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted that, and I've been on lots of different guided hunts. Basically, I don't have a choice as a non-resident out of Alaska. If I want to hunt grizzly bear, I got to have a guide. Same thing in Canada. Yep. I have no choice. And so as I shopped around, I really wanted a place where I could hunt, where I didn't have someone let me be free to kind of like have an adventure.
Yeah. That's part of our philosophy. We believe that the client is part of our team. We don't, I tell my guys, the client is a part of the team. We work together as a team. We never talk down to or disrespect the client. The client can bring a lot of expertise and skill to a hunt, and you could and should tap into that. And it's just more enjoyable experience when you're working together like that, and I think the clients appreciate that. And I know that we appreciate it. Works for us. And it's just a good way to hunt. That's the way I like to hunt.
The first time I learned about your guide service was through Randy Newberg. Yeah. Because he did a sheep hunt with you, which was his first all sheep ever. And then Tim Burnett as well. Solo hunter. And then Tim was up there with me hunting grizzly at the same time I was with you. And Tim got a beautiful bear. So beautiful grizzly bear. And but that's kind of how I first heard about you. But then you contacted me one day.
Yeah. We've been trying to get into the grizzly bear market for a while and starting to do grizzly bear hunts. And I, had invited my friend Tim up again. Because Tim, like you say, had hunted with us before. I knew Tim we went to school together in Pocatello, Idaho, way back in the day. But anyways, so I knew Tim, and anyway, I wanted to kind of break into the bear hunting market, and I was like, well, who else likes to hunt the way I like to hunt, and number one, I knew that I wanted to show folks how we hunt, and I didn't want to have to try to push somebody else's philosophy on the way I like to do it. So I was like, well, let's have Brian come on up, and and you seem like an awesome guy to hunt with, and I wish I could have been with you and Chris on your hunt, but you just can't do everything. But anyway, yeah. So I was really excited when I contacted you and you said, let's do it. Your video will show it, but yeah, it's gonna be it's a pretty epic experience, I think, for you guys.
It is, and what I liked about it was you kind of hit all the things I wanted. The price point. That's you do an inland grizzly bear hunt. A lot of these coastal, because I've hunted with Cole Kramer for Sitka Blacktail out there on Kodiak, and Cole does a lot of guided archery bow hunts, and some world records have been under Cole's belt. And you kind of dream about a Kodiak type hunt or an Alaskan Peninsula hunt when you think just massive 10-foot plus brown bear. But I also have been hunting. I hunted a lot of Prince of Wales Island coastal black bears, and then contrast that to a lot of bears I've taken in the last 3 or 4 years are high mountain black bears. My coastal Prince of Wales black bear has a 21-inch skull and square 7.5 feet. My second bear is also right under 21-inch skull, and it's squared 7 feet. Both of these are just massive black bears. I haven't shot any black bear in the western states in the lower 48 that come even close to those bears in size. And yet we've shot some big black bears, color phases, big old black, that warrior bear I shot. They don't get much bigger than the ones we've taken. It's just, they're not going to get much bigger in the top of the mountains in some of these western units that we go to out of your Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, even Utah, Washington. These high mountain bears, it's a different experience. Well, I started looking at the grizzly bear situation, and you have a similar situation where you have a bear in the mountains. You have these mountain grizz inland, and they're quite a bit different than your coastal brown bears, much like the Prince of Wales black bears I hunted compared to the black bears I hunt in the mountains. And I thought, man, I am really in love with these black bears up in the mountains. They're a little bit different. The country is so much more appealing and romantic and exciting. And I thought, I started looking into inland grizzly hunts for the last couple of years before you ever called me. And I was like, those are actually something I can afford, number one. Plus, I think it gives me a more satisfying adventure in many ways than the coastal ones I sort of had been dreaming about. And some of those coastal hunts, I remember like 10 years ago, it's like $25,000 for a bear hunt now. I don't think you can touch a coastal bear hunt like a Kodiak bear hunt for under 30 to $40,000.
Yeah, that's where the market's at there with those big ones. Yep, down there on the coast.
So much, So where these grizzly hunts, these inland grizz hunts, you can get on some bears for that $15,000 to $20,000 range.
Yeah,
which is still a lot of money. But then you can couple that with like a black bear as well, or some other hunts, sometimes caribou, or I've seen these opportunities, or moose. So for me, I was like, guys, that was something I could look into and possibly do, right?
Yeah,
and have that adventure. The other thing that I noticed was there's a lot of unique color phases on inland grizzly bears in comparison to your kind of standard brownish brown bears on Kodiak.
Yep.
And that was fascinating because as we started to talk, you have a freaking, so I'll get into, like, in the film, I don't know how much we reveal just, we do toward the end, but we didn't get any footage of a couple of the bears that we saw. But, when we were on the phone, you're like, I'm not sure how big, the bears are in our area exactly. We've heard of some big ones. Well, there's some big ones. we saw a couple giants, and then we saw tracks that just back up,
Oh yeah. Yeah. We've seen some really big ones, and, we've never put them on the ground to measure them, but we're like, wow, there's some big ones in here. And, so I knew I wanted to start this guiding part of this, because I knew there's a lot of potential in there to have an awesome hunt, and to have some really cool big bears and really unique color phase bears too. So,
well, and I honestly had pretty low expectations. I thought we'd see some, the boars might get around 7 feet, 6.5 feet or something like that. And, we came across some tracks that were at least, the conventional wisdom is a grizzly bear's track is whatever the width of the front pad is, you add 1 inch to that. So if it's an 8-inch width and then you add 1 inch to that, that's the length of the bear, or what it would square. So that's 9 feet. If it's
you convert that to feet, and that's what the hide would square, right? Yes,
if that makes sense. I have for those that are watching, here's a little screen. I'm going to share my screen right here. Check this out. Here is a track that we came across. You can see that's Brad's hand. I want to say that thing is. We didn't have a measuring tape, but we saw a couple of tracks like this. Isn't the only one. We figure they were between, they were just shy of 8 inches, basically, which means you have a bear somewhere between 8.5 and 9 feet square.
It's a big bear. It's a big inland grizzly bear,
big. And that's
well, and I just want to say this too. I don't know if we want to get into this or not, but okay, so where these guys were hunting was technically, if Boone and Crockett, if you were to take that bear and go and enter it into the Boone and Crockett Club, they would count that technically as a brown bear. These were grizzly bears in the way they behave, in their size, in all respects.
Even when you Google, like when I research brown bear versus grizzly bear, it's hard for me to figure out what they are, and I've even heard Ranella and some of the biologists say they're the same species, they're identical.
Yeah,
it's just
I mean, if you were to take one of the
almost.
Bears, right? If you were to take some of those bears that are living up in my guiding area and take those down to the peninsula or Kodiak and transplant them there, if you were to somehow make sure that they didn't get eaten by the other bears, let's say, then after a few generations, they would turn into the same coastal grizzly bear that are down there. It just genetically they're the same thing across the state. Biologists.
Well, when you look at some of the footage we have of some grizzly bears that are inland, from like we had last year down in the lower fort, I swear that bear is all of 9 feet or bigger. The big chocolate boar that we have filmed a couple of years in a row.
That thing was roly poly. I remember just the footage I saw. That looked big, man.
That thing's a hammer. It's massive. And a number of those grizzlies, they're all inland. They don't have access to much in the way of fish at all, but they're just huge.
Are they allowing them to hunt them down there or not yet?
No,
still not.
So they're not hunted. So of course that's going to help them get to a ripe old age, but I would argue that in the area where you're guiding, I didn't see another hunter trying to kill a bear. And I don't think they're really, I think they're able to live to a pretty old age.
They are, not a lot of Alaska residents hunt bears, hunt brown bears. Few do, but it's not like, it's not like moose or caribou or sheep or something where got tons of guys are after them, there's a few that are big time bear hunters, but it's like, one guy will kill one in his lifetime and call it good type of thing. It's not like they go after them every single year, but I think there's definitely a lot of bears in there that don't get hunted a ton, So
that surprised me was, we saw a bear when we were there we called it the bus, because he was like orange yellow like a bus, and we saw him multiple times, but it was just so thick you couldn't get on him in time. We went and got on his track, and it was bigger than this track. I have his rear pad on a clip, and we just got on. He was way down in the flats, and so we ended up making our way down there because we saw. Consequently, we were there in June. It was pretty later than you'd want to go generally. But I had other obligations at the time.
Well, you were kind of our guinea pig. You and Tim were kind of our guinea pigs. I'm thinking, hey, June's a great time to do this. It works great for my work schedule and stuff. And anyway, what we found out that, there's a lot of bears in there, but they're so hard to find because they're all down there, on the flats chasing moose calves. Moose is just calved time of year. And
you could see all the sign and the bears moving down. And we'd see them just as they were kind of leaving and going deep into the valleys. And so,
I don't think that we're going to do too many of those spot and stock hunts in June. We're going to have a lot of options, but our June hunts, I think we're going to focus just on the baited hunts. Yeah. So, but that interests anybody at all. A lot of guys don't like that, or that's not their thing. But for some guys, that's just what which is what the doctor ordered, just their thing. So it might be good for somebody to do that kind of a hunt. So.
Later in the year. I liked if we had been there 3 weeks earlier. I can only imagine, because the sign, Eric, everywhere you go, there's just massive tracks and bears rubbing up on trees and moose kills and caribou kills, and you're just finding it everywhere. The wolves are out there killing game, and then the bears are probably just following the wolves and then picking up their kills. And you wonder in a non-fish rich environment, like some of these inlands aren't quite as smashing as many salmon as like these coastal bears, but they got all those wolves killing. I mean, I couldn't believe the number of other animals we see between the moose and the caribou, and they're all fawning. And that that calf kill rate's got to be high. I'm
trying to remember the exact number, but they put a camera on one of these bears few years back, and I know somebody's going to correct me on this, but it was the number of calf moose that this bear killed in like a 6-week period was astounding. I'm thinking it was like in the 40s or something like that. I was just like, holy cow, these bears kill so many moose calves. Right. Granted, that bear was probably a specialist, but hey, moose calves are easy pickings that time of year, so why wouldn't bears go after them? So
it's pretty, you have that. But the whole thing, we did see some
August
we put eyes on a couple
the time
of
to do
really
an awesome
bears.
Spot and stock.
And then of course on the film hunt. People can and see. At first I was like, then we saw some other ones. Now
what?
There are bears like that in there.
I was able to go through June, but I was able to go back in August.
There's not many places.
You graciously had me come back
left in the world where you can do that.
Bear. Man, I looked at that thing in 10 days. That thing came back in August. Special and
pretty much anybody could do those.
This place is amazing, and I think the same thing will be true if you go in May or if you go in April. Like everything changes month to month. Changes where the animals are, how they're behaving. It's really going to be fun to continue to learn about this place. And
and August is going to be the time to do an awesome spot and stock type of grizzly hunt. And it's going to be
what I kill on day 4 of the 10 days or something.
Oh yeah,
on in August.
Yeah,
and we were seeing grizzly bears every other day, and then I think we saw 7 or 9 black bears. I could have taken
black bears,
plenty of black bears when I was there, some beautiful ones, a couple of giants. So August was an awesome time to go.
When we finish up our sheep hunts, then we're going to focus in on trying to guide a few grizzly bear hunts there in mid to late August. So
the other thing that really, like I said earlier, that got me excited about the hunt was the color phases. As you mentioned, there's jet white grizzly bears, and at first I was like, come on, what? But then you look it up and there's full on white grizzly bears.
I haven't seen it myself, but some friends of mine are like, there was like a polar bear looking bear in there, just jet white as you can imagine. And I'm like, no way. And anyway, they're there. There are bears like that in there. And they, like you say, they ranged all the way from that jet white or, albino white type looking to all the way into the dark chocolate. So
they can be yellowish. Here's a screenshot here. Share this screen. See this.
Yeah, dude.
That is a white grizzly bear.
Yes, it is.
And I'm telling you, that gigantic bus bear looked like this. It was yellow, white, like you could see it a mile away, and it had to be, I don't know how big it was. I mean, big. Here's another one, sort of orangey light.
That's cool looking.
Now this, I think, is a Kermode black bear. This is an actual grizzly. That's a Kermode black bear. That's a white grizzly bear. And then you got some color phases that are light like this. And these are not polar bear, grizzly bear crosses. Although
no.
There are some of those out there as of late, but these are that's the color phase they are. And then the other one, and this goes to the bear that I took. It's a Toklat, grizzly.
They name it after the Toklat River, which is it's in Denali National Park there. One of the early biologists that explored the Denali National Park saw an abundance of those blondish color phase grizzly bears near that Toklat River, so they started calling anything that's got that blondish color phase that they call them a Toklat bear. So
I'll bring it up here, share the screen again, and see this bear here.
Yeah.
See how he's got that dark legs right here?
Yep.
And then the blonde chest and everything. That is that is just like the bear that I took. I mean, pretty cool little bear.
Yeah, they are beautiful. Yep. Yeah, your bear is so beautiful. The hair on that thing is, the colors are amazing, but the hair was so long. Tim's was long like that too. Crazy how long a hair they have, just super thick and full.
Yeah, I was surprised by what I saw there. And there's another one here. It's funny, as I looked it up and they talked about this Toklat color phase bear. What I was surprised by was even though they name it after that region, they're actually in a lot of inland areas.
Oh yeah, they're all over the state. Yep.
So you can see this right here. This is another one. And the bear I took, had it looks a lot like this. Maybe not quite as blonde. It's got a little bit of, but you can see these different color phases and they're pretty neat. So up in your region, that's what you have. You have some bears like that. Quite a few, actually. Quite a few. We spotted probably, I think, 3 like that. And then there's some big chocolate, reddish boars as well.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's it's the hunt of a lifetime for a lot of guys. A lot of guys, their goal is to kill a brown or grizzly bear. I mean, that's like the pinnacle of hunting for a lot of guys. And so there's not many places left in the world where you can do that,
No, and there's a part of it that, they banned it in Canada and BC. They banned grizzly hunting, and it's always under threat. And, I was thinking you can't do it in the lower 48 every time we try to open a season, which we should, because we have the numbers now.
Yeah, I was thinking you guys had opened it down there, but
They
I guess they got shut down.
And then it gets closed again because some legal thing comes up and someone sues and they try to put it back on the endangered species list. And so for me, it was like, you know, I don't know how many years are available to go hunt a grizzly bear. And I wanted the experience. And I'm telling you, there is something about walking around in Alaska with a grizzly bear tag in your pocket. You never know in what basin, over what hill, or what area you're going to see one of those suckers just rolling his shoulders and walking through some snowbank, digging up ground squirrels and munching. You know, and then when I saw the first grizz I saw on the hunt, I mean, it was a toe-clat kind of color phase sow with 2 cubs. I mean, it was like, they're here. There's bears here. You know, we watched that sucker, and that sow was just a beast. I mean, I've been like, good luck. If that thing didn't have cubs with it, how would you know? I wouldn't be able to tell that it wasn't what it was. And of course, it was far away. Maybe if I was able to get closer, but judging is difficult. But man, I looked at that thing and I thought that thing is special. And there's something about having that tag in your pocket and just being there. It was really cool. So I feel for guys. Like at first I thought, well, it's not really in my price range, you know, but I think that's something you can save up for over the course of 3-4 years or so. And
you know, and we're trying to keep our prices as low as we can. You know, right now our bear hunts our grizzly bear hunts are 15,000.
Yeah.
You know, which is, I feel like, pretty reasonable, you know.
For me, for the adventure I had, it was pretty hard to beat, you know. I couldn't be more happy. You know, people have seen the grizzly photos as I posted them. If they've seen the films, then they've seen it there. One of the questions I wanted to throw out there was, you know, what other hunts do you have on that you book? Like, what's your specialty? What is Alaska Adventure Services?
Well, you know, I like to not deal with flying if we don't have to, although you guys, you know, chose to fly out. So most of our hunts, we are hiking in from the road system, wheelering in or jeeping into some spots and then hiking in. Flying is just so logistically challenging up here, especially in the fall, you know, when the weather is crappy. It just throws a wrench into the hunts all the time. So if I can not deal with flying, or not to. And then it helps, it keeps our costs down a little bit too. Not a ton, but a little bit. So yeah, we like to hike in, you know, and it's just so, that's the way I like to do my outdoor stuff. I don't like to, if I don't have to have a 4-wheeler, I don't want one, because I don't want to have to be, you know, working on a wheeler, is trying to get one unstuck when we want to be up there hunting, you know. Well, so
the truth is, that's why I think you'll run into fewer people, because in Alaska everybody flies, and if they don't fly, you know, they have a pretty easy access. So what you're doing is, you know, it's a bit of a grind getting into some of the spots you're going into.
It is. It's a grind, and our hunts are not for everybody, you know. But although, you know, like I say, those baited hunts, pretty much anybody could do those. True. We'll be able to get you in with the Jeep pretty close to where we're camping. You might have to do some hiking, but it shouldn't be too rigorous.
I think the thing about baited hunts, you know, are that you are able to be really selective about what you take. I mean, that is the beauty of a baited hunt. Yep. And for some guys that aren't in the shape or the conditioning to do something like what I've been doing or what I like to do, it's an option.
It is,
you know.
It is. And I think there's going to be pretty good opportunities that time of year, you know, especially where we were we'd seen so much sign down in there where we're planning on baiting. So I think that's a good option.
And we should talk about the fact that when I brought my bear in, okay, I took my bear, big, color phase, grizzly bear, beautiful bear. I take it into the Game and Fish, Alaska. They do the aging, and they look at the teeth, and they look at the skull size, and they square it, and they measure the hide and all that kind of stuff. So they're checking out my bear, and they were like checking out the area, the location I took the bear, and on the maps, and they're like, thank you for shooting this bear. They're like, this place is crawling with bears. You don't really know when you're out there how many bears there are, and they were talking about the region you're in having so many excess bears that they were just grateful that I took one, and they want to see more. They want to see more taken.
Yeah, there's an abundance of bears in that unit, and like your your resident hunters.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times resident hunters up here are a little possessive of their state. They kind of they want to keep it to themselves a little bit. But
yeah, most
of your resident hunters are you're their hero if you come up here and kill a bear for them. Because there's so many, and they're killing so many moose and caribou. So
and that's why I was going to say a baited hunt really increases some of the odds of getting on a bear that you otherwise could spend entire month trying to find. And it does help again with the conservation aspect of, each of these bears, especially when they become specialists, they can wipe out a lot of moose, a lot of caribou. And there's a lot of the guys, when we did run into a few back there, they were grateful that we were out there grizzly bear hunting. Yeah, they were stoked, and any chance they get, they all have tags in their pockets. They just don't see them. When you're on the top of a mountain, that's not necessarily where a grizzly bear is in August. So,
right? Yeah, a lot of those guys they're focusing on caribou and moose. So if they happen to see one, like you say, most of them will be ready to kill one. But they're not. They're focused. Look, they're focused.
Eric, they're not going to climb down this mountain, cross a river waist deep, and then climb up the other side to get on a grizzly bear when they're out trying to kill something else. They're not that motivated.
That's what we do.
I'm like, bonsai, Geronimo, let's go.
Right. That's the way we are when we're out moose hunting. Well, we'll see bears, and that's a pretty bear, that's a pretty grizzly, or
right.
Well, it's but we're trying to fill the freezer, which like most resident hunters, that's what they're doing. And they, if one comes across, it's pretty easy for them to take. They'll do it. It's kind of an ancillary thing,
but it has to be that perfect matchup because they're not really going. They told me it's a couple of guys we ran into. They've been going there 20 years of their life. So these guys, they're old coots and they're really out there. I think they don't breed men like that anymore, really. So there's not very many left, but these guys are out there, and we see a bunch of bears, and then they're like giant chocolate boar walking across this ridge over here. And we're like, why can't that happen to me instead of them? And it does give you hope though, because they're out there.
They are out there for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about brown bear, grizzly bear, inland kind of stuff, because I have some notes right here just to give people an idea of what you're dealing with. It says most adult female grizzlies weigh 300 to 400 pounds.
Yeah.
While adult males weigh an average of 400 to 800. Well, that's a big average. One's 2 to 300 or 3 to 400. The other one's 4 to 8. It's like, well, which one is it? That's kind of a big difference. But I think, and so let me continue. It says average total length is 6.5 feet. When and the average height is 3.5 feet tall. In the Yukon, mature grizzlies can weigh as little as 220 pounds. For a female, these average weights would be 300 inland and 500 coastal, respectively. Okay. So an inland bear being 300 and a coastal bear being 500 pounds. That's a female. One study found that the average weight for an inland male grizzly was around 600 pounds.
Yeah.
And the average weight for a coastal male was around 900 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's a different study. So when we're sitting there talking about an inland bear, you're still talking about a 600-pound bear versus a 900-pound bear. You're talking about a giant bear. Like this is no slouch, right?
No.
And I'm convinced that bear in there is, based on its track size and our visuals, 8.5 for a 9-foot grizzly, which it sounds like, in these terms that's quite reasonable for a mature adult male grizzly inland. Now, and we have seen that because where we're at is very inland, down in the lower 48, and we have seen a couple of grizzly bears that are undoubtedly right at that 9-foot mark.
Yeah.
And when you see one of those, some of these that we have seen look like a coastal brown bear. They do not look like this grizzly here, kind of like your mountainish looking grizzly with the hump and the grizzled fur and all that. But some of the bears I've seen here in the lower 48, they look like a coastal brown bear, just a different looking animal. So, and it's inland, so I think so much of it is just genetic and then what they're able to eat, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Back to the type of hunt, the backpacking hunt. I did the one in June, and it was we did a spot and stock backpack hunt, and I had an opportunity. It was fleeting. It was out of my comfort zone for taking the shot, but a nice chocolate boar. I'm pretty sure that was a boar, big head. Not sure how big that bear was. Probably right around 7 feet, I think. Did you see it in the teaser clip I sent to you?
I did briefly, but I didn't get it. I couldn't.
It's hard to tell, right?
Sure. It is.
I think he's right around 7 foot.
And bears are so hard to judge.
They are.
All bears are. there could be little miniature bears that have all the looks of a big one, but when you get up to it, it's just for some reason a midget size. It has the big head, in comparison to the body, a big old roly-poly belly, and all the things that you would look for, and then it just happens to be a smaller bear. So they're hard to judge. But we'll do the best we can to try to find the big ones.
So that hunt was spot and stock, and it was later in the season. Got a beautiful black bear and had some chances, and then Tim also got one in June as well. So it's not like a June hunt isn't doable, because we pretty much had those chances and Tim got it done. But I think earlier in the April-May period, is going to be the time.
Yeah, and that's what we decided. The problem you have, I would like to be there in mid-May. The problem you have is you can't really access that by snow machine that time of year, because it's the rivers and stuff are breaking up, and the snow's breaking up. Yet the guys on skis with their airplanes, they've taken their skis off their airplanes that point too. So
sketchy.
Really, the airplane access in there is really probably much June 1st is the earliest you can get in there, or earlier in like April. So
April in a snow machine for like a couple of days ride, you can get in there.
And spoiler alert here. Brian's going to be our next guinea pig on an April hunt. Woo!
Yeah, I'm stoked.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so early that who knows, but I'm hoping that we're snowshoes and snowmobiles, and we're looking for when they just are popping out of their bins. And we'll compare that. We'll be able to compare that time of year to the June, and then that May time. It's how do you get in there? Because you got to get in there and get out before the snow, or you got to leave your snow machines there all year.
I'm not sure how to get in there in May, honestly. You
It's a
might
tricky
be able
one.
to still get in there with this machine, but it's going to be dicey. You know, it's going to be real dicey. We're going late April, last
Yeah.
10 days of April. I'm
And we'll
pretty
see.
confident
I think it's
the
going to be good.
river's going
I've
to
been
be able to
looking at,
crossable, and we're going to be able to get into all the spots that we need to with those machines. So yeah,
harvests, inland grizzly bear harvests, and dates and times in Alaska, and that time in April looks to be really good time.
that's when guys do it. You know, if you're a grizzly hunter, guys are going up in April on machines, and that's how they're doing it. You know, so I'm thinking you guys are going to have a great hunt. I wish I could be there. I got other things I got to do. So you and Chris are going to have an awesome hunt in there. We might even get Austin to come along with you guys. Austin Manelik, you guys might know him.
Yep.
He was there on Tim's hunt too, and he's with Mission Alaska. I'm not sure exactly
awesome.
how it's all going to shake out, but I'm hoping Austin could be there with you guys too, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, snowshoes, man, and but you know how to do it. You're the right client to take on that, man. So
I'm so excited about that. So there's that time. There's if you could figure out a May, and then there's the August, and all of that to me that's all backpack style. Living out of your pack. If you of course, when it's a little colder, you're going to probably want to be able to burn more wood and have your teepee, but we were able to get wood even in the high country. We could always find a little bit of wood to burn.
You guys had your little backpacking stove with your teepee there, and Tim and I were we were cold a few of those nights. You guys were texting us on the inReach. Oh, sure, it's nice and warm in this tent with the wood burning stove, and I'm like, shut up,
If you get a little bit wet, you just dry out. I brought my little boot dryer fans so that when we crossed a river or whatever, and you happen to get a little water in the boot, they just dried right out. And so,
yeah, man, you got all the gear, man. You know how to do it. So, a little bit heavier for me than what I would like to do, yeah. but each guy has their system, how it's dialed in. My clients, my sheep hunting clients and my backpack bear hunting clients, I'm telling them to go light, because that's the mistake most of these guys make, is they bring too much stuff. They don't know how to stay comfortable doing it lightweight, So I'm trying to tell guys, you got to have backpacking experience. You got to understand and know how to keep your pack down. So I'm telling them, just keep your pack weight light. We'll, if you have these things right here, I give them a list, then you're going to be comfortable. We'll help you, make sure you're doing it right and everything. But it's the fun way to do it. Living up there for 10 days where the animals are. I mean, and you don't have to go back and forth to base camp every day. You waste so much time and energy doing it. It's just the way to do it.
I'll say too, like when we went up there in August, black bear hunting off the charts. There's black bear opportunities. The weather was really nice, but you could get on black bears. And if a guy hasn't taken a black bear before, you can still be glassing and hunting for grizz while you're making your move on your black bear. And take both.
If a guy wanted to come up and do just a black bear hunt with us, we can do that. That one we could do in probably late May, June, spot and stock black bear. Because we saw a ton of them up there that time of year. And that can be had for a very reasonable price. Some of these sheep hunts and stuff are out of a lot of guys' price range, but I think we can do I think a 6-day backpack black bear hunt for right around $8,000. I mean, that's and you'll have that really cool Alaska alpine mountain experience, So it's fun.
That's one thing I'll say is flying, just getting there and being in Alaska, seeing all the moose and the caribou. Hopefully people, when they watch the film, they can just see the countryside and the mountains and all of that. It's, and then you never know when you're going to bump into a grizzly bear, all that kind of stuff. And so it just has the wolves, like all of it is, it's an adventure. So they got to have some backpacking experience.
For those spot and stock hunts, They do. They need backpacking experience.
So
and those hunts will be in. We'll do those. We're gonna try the April hunt this year, and then we're gonna do an August backpack hunt too, which I still haven't booked yet. So if anybody wants, I still have a couple openings for a late August backpack style spot and stock grizzly hunt.
I really liked that hunt. I think you're kind of guaranteed a black bear if you want one, and the grizzly bear thing. I killed, I think on day 4 or 5. I was only halfway through the hunt when I got my bear, and like I said, there were some big bears in there. I think it was a matter of time on that trip.
Yeah.
So I liked the August timeframe quite a bit. The one thing that we were contending with was rivers rising, and having some trouble. Like it's getting a little sketchy crossing a couple of those rivers. And I think it was just because we had a stretch of warm weather, and I was pretty late, in the August time. Maybe a little further back might be a little better than maybe even just 5 days earlier than I went in. But all in all, man, that was a really cool time to be there. And special. I was trying to contrast, like if you compared when I went in, 1st of June compared to the hunt in August. August was far more beautiful. Like it's just green everywhere and thick.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like being up in that mountain country in Alaska during that time of year. It is special, and some of the tundra is starting to turn a little bit red, so you're starting to get some of that fall feeling coming on, so
June 1st to June 10th, there is a night and day difference too, because you get there, it's brown. By June 10th, everything is green. I mean, it's
greening up fast.
Because it's sunny 24/7. So you
up here in Alaska, it's like that time of year, like everything just comes to life, and it's just this frenzy
it's so fast
of life,
It disappeared. Like we could see moose the first 5 days, and the last 5 days they were there, but behind all the cover. I mean, it just was changed that fast.
Oh yeah. Everything changes so fast around here, up here. It's just the darkness. Now we're getting almost as much light as you guys are down there, this time of year. So it's like, everything is just super accelerated, changing up here. It feels like
So Eric, if a guy wants to get a hold of you, he wants to look into booking a hunt, give you a call. How does he do that?
Yeah, he could check out my website, www.alaskaadventureservices.com. My contact information is right there. Email me. If you want to call me directly or text me directly, you can. My number is 907-414-3475. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, Alaska Adventure Services, both those platforms. So
nice.
Yeah. And it's real easy to find me.
They can get a hold of you and see what all openings you have for various. It doesn't, some guy might want to do a sheep as well, or something else that you guys provide.
Yeah, man. I probably won't be able to book any sheep hunts anytime soon. We're so far booked out on those, and
everybody's
only doing a few a year. I'm only doing a few a year. We had kind of a population crash here within the last couple of years, and so we're not doing a ton of them. Mm-hmm. So, trying to bring back a couple of guys too from before who didn't get one. So anyway, so I mean, I would love to. Everybody wants to do a sheep hunt. I would love to take as many guys as want to do a sheep hunt on a sheep hunt, because sheep hunts are awesome too. They're freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's just not that many opportunities out there. But dang, plenty of bears out there, guys. Come on, let's go.
I know that's the thing too. Is when I look at opportunity, it's kind of like there's a lot of great hunts out there that think of it in terms of, instead of necessarily species, think of it as adventure. I'm kind of good at the poor man's adventure or the budget man's adventure. I can get a lot of pleasure out of, the grizzly hunt I just did in comparison to something that costs 3 times as much. I can get a lot of joy out of hunting New Zealand tahr in the Southern Alps instead of, a mountain goat hunt or a sheep that I can't afford stateside. So there's a lot I think that hunters can do to get creative and have adventure, travel places, go see things without necessarily. Sure, I don't have a sheep, but I've got a couple of goats, a couple of tahr, some of the stuff that I could afford. I got me a grizzly bear now. And by the way, here's the skull. Check this out. So,
dude, that is bad.
This thing is
bad. Love that thing, man. They did
over 21
good
inches
job cleaning that.
So I was pretty happy with that. Just a beautiful bear, and then squared over 7 feet, which the game and fish were like, yes. They were stoked.
Like I say, you're our guinea pig. We're getting better at finding where the concentration of bears are, getting better at, being more selective with our bears too. So
yeah,
anyway, yeah, it's a fun hunt, no doubt about it. And, any legal bear in Alaska is a trophy, but hopefully we can get it dialed in a little bit more on size and sex and stuff too, so yeah.
No, I'm excited. Well, all right, Eric, I think we covered everything.
Yeah, man.
And folks, if you're interested, hit Eric up. Eric, you've been awesome. You have, it's funny when you called me, I was like, who is, do I trust this guy? So then I'm on the phone with Randy Newberg and Tim Burnett, and they're like, oh, Eric's awesome. He's a good dude. Because I never know if I'm getting scammed by somebody. I get calls all the time to go do hunts. And honestly, I just say no because I don't know. And this came with 2 friends of mine that knew you. And it's like, oh, yeah, he means what he says. He does what he means. And so it was a pretty cool opportunity to make it happen, and good experience.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming up and be willing to come back a second time too, and make it happen. I knew it would happen eventually. I just needed you to be out here a little bit more. So
we didn't even get into your guides, which are great dudes, and Chris, like you said, the culture, the way you guys operate, Chris has become a very good friend, and I'm excited to do more, to hit.
Yeah, I knew you guys would hit it off well. Chris is a good guy, good hunter. He works. Like, never. Yeah. He just, he just grinds it out. And,
I'm like, hey, Chris, I want to go over there, but it's going to be about 17 miles today. He's like, huh, okay. And then we hike 17 miles, and he's just like, we get there and he's like, okay, and these are not light packs,
No.
We covered some ground, but I wanted to see what was at the back of that basin, man. And so we were going, and I loved it because often I've been on these type of hunts and I'm with a guide and he's like, yeah, no, we're not going over there. Oh no, we're not climbing that mountain. We're not doing that. And I'm just like, dude, you're an anchor. You're dead weight. Like I want to do this hunt without you. And that was something that you were like, that's not going to happen here. So it was pretty.
No. We pride ourselves on working our tails off out there. We really do. We want to leave no valley unturned. We want to see everything that we need to see. Of course, you got to be smart when you're bear hunting too. You don't want to track up the whole place either. You want to be smart about that too. But we want to work hard, and all my guys, no matter who I put you with, I have complete trust that they're gonna be awesome guides and work hard and make it happen. So
good. All right. Well, I hope you enjoy the movies. You've seen the teaser. That's all you've seen so far as of this recording. So
yes,
you're going to get to experience it. You're going to get to experience it along with everybody else.
I'm super excited. Tim's too. I keep thinking when Tim's coming out.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I don't know on that one either. So, but no, yours is hopefully within the next week or two, I guess, huh?
Yep, March 6th. I'm going to drop it March 6th. A minimum of 5 episodes, but I hope 6 out of the whole thing. It's tough because, I'm on this trip and, spoiler alert, I take 2 bears. I take a black bear and a grizzly bear. That's 2 episodes that have, a harvest in them, a kill. The other 4 don't. And on bear hunts, there's especially this kind of bear hunt, there's a lot of sitting and glassing, so to make a film interesting, it's not like you're calling in bulls and, and they're screaming and you're chasing up a mountain. It's not a lot of action, often you're kind of sitting there. And that's the nature of bear hunts in general, but especially I think up north, where the density of you're looking at huge areas, and the density of animals is just a little lower than in the lower 48. When you get further north, you get. It's interesting. When you come from down here and you go up north, you think that everywhere you look, you're going to see animals because there's just so.
Well, I mean, it's Alaska. I mean, that's what everyone expects,
And then you get up there and you're like, dude, there's like one animal for 20 miles. You start to realize it's a little different.
It is different, and like I say, we're trying to. A lot of times, those animals will concentrate in certain spots in certain areas, and we're figuring those spots out. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, we're excited to have you back in a month or two. Also, that'll be awesome.
So, folks, check out Alaska Adventure Services. You can look that up on Instagram. I'll have links in the description field of this YouTube video to all of your contact info, Eric, and people can reach out there. Folks, thanks for tuning in. You got comments, questions, put them in the description fields of the YouTube or the Rumble videos, and we'll get back as best we can. Thanks for tuning in, and stay gritty.